Good morning and welcome to the North Slope Borough Community Health Hour. My name is Olivia Kim, Health Educator for the Prevention Unit. This show is brought to you by the North Slope Borough Health Department. As a disclaimer, this episode discusses suicide and may be triggering for some listeners. This week, we'll be talking about suicide prevention and share an interview with special guest Mark Tamaleaa. Later on in the show, I'll tell you all about our borough-wide Ask for Help mental health tour starting on September 8th. Living on the slope, suicide is something that has touched all of our lives. Many of us have lost family, friends, and loved ones to suicide or have had our own personal experiences with suicide and suicidal ideation. Alaska has one of the highest suicide rates in the country. The North Slope Borough has persistently high suicide rates, particularly amongst youth. Suicide is the leading cause of death for ages 15 to 24 in the state. These high rates are associated with complex systemic and individual factors such as historical trauma and forced disconnection from culture due to colonialism, alcohol and substance abuse, domestic violence, sexual assault, family separation, and socioeconomic stressors. The weight of each tragic loss ripples out and touches the entire community. Although we may not have all the answers to fully resolve the issues that are at the root of these losses, it is important that we shed light on them because we cannot heal in silence or in isolation. Prevention efforts are key, with day-to-day activities such as sleep, nutrition, exercise, community and cultural engagement, employment, and leisure activities being important factors for mental wellness. I'd like to take some time to highlight culture and community as preventative measures. Culture and community are essential to mental wellness because they provide a sense of identity, purpose, and connection to something that is greater than ourselves. For the Inupiaq people, culture and community connects individuals to their ancestors, to the land, and a shared sense of support and belonging. Being able to participate in cultural activities such as hunting, sewing, singing, dancing, having access to cultural foods, language, and knowledge instills a sense of strength and resilience that can help us navigate the world and our place in it. Culture is connected to a sense of ownership, agency, and personal power. Our behavioral health is about more than just what's happening in our minds. It is also about our bodies, our emotions, our relationships. It's about how we live our day-to-day lives, how we find meaning, value, and purpose each day. It's about how we are supported by the systems around us, how we support each other, and how we support ourselves. We cannot begin to fully address the issues of suicide without acknowledging all the different pieces that make us who we are and the role they play in our wellness. With that, we will transition into the interview portion of this episode with Mark Tamaleaa. Mark is an international speaker and suicide prevention advocate. He shares his powerful story to bring hope and resilience to others. With over 25 years as a principal, executive leader, husband, and father, he connects deeply with audiences of all ages. His message tackles suicide prevention, mental wellness, bullying, identity, and the power of change, equipping people with courage, strength, and hope for tomorrow.
My name is Mark Tamaleaa and was a longtime educator, 25 years, served in the education system, working with young people. I have a bachelor's in elementary education. I taught kindergartners, third graders, middle schoolers, high schoolers, and then about 10 of those years I was a principal. Yeah, and so today though, after 25 years working, back in school pursuing a master's of science in clinical mental health counseling, and I'm a professional speaker on suicide prevention and mental health.
Thank you for that little introduction. Can you tell us a little bit about the work that you do as a suicide prevention advocate, educator, and speaker?
Yeah, a lot of times I'm supplemental to what a school system has in place. And I'm able to come in sometimes if it's, let's say, just a keynote, 30 minutes, 40-minute assembly, just to be able to just kind of inspire, really bring awareness to suicide and suicide prevention. And then sometimes, well, a lot of times I'm able to give them some key takeaways, just
Mhm.
some tools to help them, the students. But if I'm able to do a workshop, that's where we really are able to dig deep, really give them the tools that they really need. And, it's usually like a couple hours or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What do you think is the importance of teaching these tools and speaking about this subject with youth?
Yeah, I think that, for the longest time, I think not only in our society, but other societies and cultures,
Mhm.
when it comes to something like mental health,
Yeah.
it's such a taboo because it's one of those things where if you break your leg, everybody knows you got to go see a doctor,
Yeah.
go fix that broken leg, broken arm, or whatever the case may be. But when we're struggling with depression, when we're struggling with anxiety and loneliness, hopelessness, it's not something that's visually seen, but it's someone who's struggling mentally.
Yeah.
And I think that what has I've been tasked with is that, being able to give them the tools, encouraging them,
Mhm.
hey, ask for help, go see a professional,
Yeah.
and so that's the big thing that I get to do, which is a privilege, and I've enjoyed it.
Yeah. And I think one important thing to know is, right, like in a place like the US, which is so culturally diverse, mental health can be stigmatized, I think, in many different cultures.
Oh yeah.
I know you're Samoan, I'm Korean. In my culture, you don't talk about your mental health,
Right.
right? If you're having a problem, you put your head down, you go to work, you just deal with it
Right.
because you're not the only one struggling, everyone else is struggling.
Yeah.
Right? So I think the fact that you're able to go into the schools, talk to kids when they're young, and maybe set an example that they don't get at home or in their culture is very important, right?
Yeah, well, and one of the beautiful things, right, which the North Slope Borough is doing,
Mhm.
like this health conference, this mental health conference,
Yeah.
where I get to see the grandmas and the grandpas,
Mhm.
the aunts and the uncles, the moms and the dads, and when we're able to educate them a little bit,
Yeah.
and we're doing the same thing with the students, that's when real growth takes place, when
Yeah.
it's a holistic approach to home and school.
Yeah. And it's really connecting like generations and it's
Oh.
connecting the community on many different levels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you got into this field?
Yeah. Um, I've always worked with kids for a long time. But the catalyst for me quitting my job after 25 years
Yeah.
and going back to school, I had a son. His name was Jalen,
Mhm.
and he was 23 years old. And he was an elementary ed major in
Mhm.
college in California.
Yeah.
And he was set to graduate that year.
Mhm.
And he took his own life. And our family still, it's been a couple years,
Yeah.
we're still devastated.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been able to share at this health conference is that, I was in this pit of darkness.
Yeah.
And it was a huge struggle because mental health was not something I grew up with.
Mhm.
But I knew that I needed to do the work, as I
Yeah.
say, and work on my mental health, see a professional, see a therapist, and get exercise, sleep, and surround myself with people that will support me on this journey.
Mhm.
And eventually, when I came out on the other side, one of the big things that my wife and I didn't want to do was we didn't want our other three kids to think that the day that they lost their brother,
Yeah.
that they also lost us. Because they're still just as important. If I'm being honest, even if I had just one kid,
Yeah.
you're enough. You're my daughter Jada. If you're the only kid I had, you are enough for me
Yeah.
to keep giving you a life that is worth celebrating, and all of the milestones that you're going to encounter when you graduate college, when you meet that special someone and you get married. You're enough,
Yeah.
even if we've lost somebody in our family. And I want to be present for my kids in that way. So quit my job,
Mhm.
came through on the other side, and now I have the privilege of just pouring into communities, schools,
Yeah.
organizations, and that's what's brought me here to the North Slope.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know it's a painful topic and a sensitive topic to speak about. But I think one thing that we've learned during this mental health conference is that even though there is darkness, even though there is pain, there is chaos, there is a way to find hope and love and forgiveness and resilience. And there is a way to move forward. And it sounds like you've taken a really painful experience and turned it into something which is very meaningful, not just for yourself, but for all of the people that you get to interact with and pour into. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. I think that's one of the other things that I've learned, right, is that because it's been so stigmatized in our communities, but when we talk about it,
yes,
and we have the tough conversations, which we've had here at the health conference, and we get in small circles and we're able to just verbalize, it removes the stigma on these words that have held so much power over us. And so the more we talk about it, the more we get educated, the less hold and power it has over our people.
Yes, I think that's so true. And I think one important thing that you said was like, you want to show your children that they are enough. And I think oftentimes with suicide and people who have suicidal ideation, there is this belief that I am not enough and I will never be enough and nothing that I can do will be enough, right? And so I think it's really important to have these kinds of conversations to show people that even if you are going through a part of your life where you feel that, there is a way to move forward. There are people out there who understand you, who are there to support you and hear you and hold you, right? And so I think that's really important.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you so much. That's so true.
Yeah. Okay, the next question. What has been the most rewarding and challenging part of your work?
Easily the most rewarding part of this work is when I encounter students who come to me and they'll say things like, thank you. Yeah. You really gave me a lot to think of. And sometimes they're just in tears. Yeah. And, one of the things that we do here in the North Slope and in other places I've gone, whenever I speak, we always bring professional counselors and therapists with us. Yeah. And they're in the room. And so we always are trying to point them to those resources, because yes, although I'm a professional speaker and I may talk about some things that may trigger some things, but really at the end of the day, you've got to sit down with a professional who's going to help you do the work that you need to heal. Yeah.
I mean, and it's important, right, to get the help when you need it, because oftentimes these beliefs that we may have about ourselves and the world are so deeply rooted. Yesterday we went through a keynote speaking engagement with one of your colleagues, and he talked about the different stages of development and how the core beliefs that we have about ourselves start from when we're 0 to 1, 2 years old, 3 years old, that we start to develop these beliefs at such a young age. So imagine living 30, 40, 50 years believing these things that you learned at such a young age. It's so deeply rooted. Right. And sometimes it's not enough to just try to do the work on your own. Yeah. So I think it's important that you point that out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So after having traveled to so many places to speak on suicide prevention, are there any experiences or stories that really stand out for you?
Yeah, actually tons of stories. I think these are the stories that keep me going. Yeah. But recently I was at a place and I was speaking, and a young man came up to me. I mean, he was in tears, just thanking me for what I shared. I was talking about suicide, my experience with it in my own family, and even in my own personal life as a 17-year-old, kid growing up in high school. And when I looked at him, I could just tell, like, he was just like is going through something and was. And I asked him, I says, because I was ready to refer him to some help. Yeah. But I wanted to ask him a few questions first, right? And one of the questions I asked him was, do you still have those feelings of wanting to hurt yourself? Yeah. And he turns to me and he says, yeah, as recent as last week. And he says, last week I had a gun in my mouth and I was ready to take my life. He says, but he heard about this conference that I was speaking at, right? And he was in tears and he says, I got to go to that conference, right? He's just a 17-year-old kid. So when he's standing there before me, he says, and now I'm here,
Yeah.
and I'm so glad because what you're telling me, he was like, I always tell my parents I'm fine. I don't want to talk about it. He was
Yeah.
like, but when you were telling us like we've got to ask for help if we want to get better, and that some of the struggles that we're going through, it's just temporary. That
Yes.
pain is very
Yes.
temporary. But if you just hang in there for 24 hours
Mhm.
and you are able to get the help, ask for help,
Yeah.
and he says, and I looked at him, I says, so you want the help? And he says, I do want the help. And he
Yeah.
says, and I said, okay. So I was able to walk him over,
Mhm.
connect him with a local counselor from his school who was there. And she says, we're going to do the work together.
Wow.
And I got some messages because young people always DM me.
Mhm.
And he was taking a selfie with his therapist. He's been going every week.
Mm.
And those kinds of stories is what motivates and inspires me that
Yeah.
if I were to die today,
Mhm.
but that one encounter with that one kid,
Yeah.
my life would have been worth doing something that it would not have been in vain.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's really powerful and really beautiful. And, I think suicide, it's not just about one person, right? A suicide touches an entire family, it touches an entire community.
Yeah.
And just being able to help one person, it's like you were able to help potentially like so many other people, right? From experiencing the pain of losing someone to that. Right. And a couple of things stood out for me while you're speaking. Like there was one thing that Allison said during her keynote, right, which was that emotions are like waves. Emotions, feelings, emotional states, right? Sometimes they last for a really long time, but that they are like waves and that they grow and they will recede and return back.
Oh, that's so
right?
good. Yep.
They'll always subside.
Oh, so good.
Sometimes it takes longer than others, but I think that's an important thing for us to remember that our feelings don't last forever.
Yeah.
Everything is temporary.
That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And, I think another important thing to touch on is this fear of asking for help.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's a lot of stigma around asking for help.
Yeah.
It's culturally rooted. It's rooted in gender and some other things too.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you could speak on that a little
Yeah.
bit.
Well, I mean, you hit on it. In the U.S.,
Mhm.
of the high suicide rates,
Yeah.
right, between men and women,
Mhm.
high suicide rates, about 70% of those
Yeah.
are of males.
Wow.
Yeah, super high. But the thing is that women,
Mhm.
females, attempt 10 times as much.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think, and the statistics show that one of the reasons that is the case is that, men, boys, because it's not just men, it's our youth or young people, the method of which that they choose is lethal. Through a gun, through hanging.
Yeah.
A lot of times with females, they show that it's just a lot of cutting.
Mhm.
It's not just a lot of cutting. I mean, that's a major cry for help.
Yeah.
But it's cutting, and it might be pills.
Yeah.
But men just choose the more lethal path, which is inevitably they'll be able to follow through
Yeah.
more. And so it just has affected us so much. But again, when we're able to sit down and pour into young men
Mhm.
and women
Yeah.
about talking about it, right? Because one of the worst things that we could do is that when we're struggling, we isolate,
Yes.
right? And that's when you actually need that support group to reach
Yeah.
out, talk to somebody, whether it's your best friend, whether it's an adult, whether it's any adult, trusted adult for sure, principal, your youth pastor, counselor,
Yeah.
someone that, that once you ask for help, just like CPR, when we call 911, they'll be able to connect you with the professional who can help you.
Yeah.
Because we're not all equipped to sit there and counsel someone.
Yeah.
But we do know how to say, hey, you know what? Come on. Let's go. I know where the hospital is. I know 988 that we can call or text, and they'll be able to actually just like, here's what you need to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is take them to a professional. Yeah.
And, the isolation point, the isolation part, I think is so important because, I've been there. I've isolated, and there's been times where I felt like there was no safe place, no safe person, no safe place, and everything just feels like the whole world just feels like not a safe place. No one to talk to, no one to lean to, right? But I think if you can just find the smallest thing, right? Just one person, one thing that's going to help you feel safer, right? In exploring these ideas and talking about these things. I think that's because a lot of times it's like you're isolating and then you want to ask for help, but it's such a big step.
Yeah.
Right. So what is like the first small step that you can take that's going to get you there eventually?
Yeah. One of the things that I teach to kids that's very simple, and adults use it too, it's this acronym that I use called GAS, GAS. And the first one with the G stands for get up and move.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, I think we do this too. And we're not the same age, but I say we. Adults will do this, and even older people, it's like the first thing you do when you wake up is what? They reach for their phone, right? And you're laying in bed, and if you begin that doom scrolling, right, before you know it, besides the fact that it's everyone's highlight reels, the best parts of their life that they're showing, we get into this comparing, which steals joy, right? Because there's this saying that I never knew how unhappy I was until I saw how happy you were, and we do this.
Yeah.
So one of the things I encourage is like, get up and move. Don't just lay there. Get up, take a shower, go for a walk. Yeah. Definitely exercise, right? But you got to get up, break this thing that you're doing, which is just laying down, right? And be active. A, that's G, and gas, get up and move. A is having an attitude of gratitude.
Yes.
So just being able to be thankful for something, right? And it can be as simple as, man, I'm going to put on my new shirt today, my favorite shirt, right?
Yeah.
Or something like, hey, I'm looking forward to making a smoothie, or whatever the case may be. But just being positive and having a positive outlook on things. And then the last thing, which you alluded to, is S, for share your story. You've got to talk to somebody, don't isolate, right? So get up and move, having an attitude of gratitude, being positive about yourself. I think speaking life to yourself is so important.
Yes.
And then just being able to share your story with somebody and don't isolate.
Yeah. I think those are all, that's a beautiful acronym, beautiful tools, and I think they're all very, very important. One random thing about the phone thing actually is like, so when you look at your phone, at the start of the day, it messes with your cortisol levels. And so for people who don't know, cortisol is a stress hormone. And so it really affects your cortisol levels for the rest of the day. And it affects how you're able to manage stress and deal with stress. And so normally when we wake up, our cortisol level is supposed to rise like gradually. And then that's how we start the day. But when we look at our phones, it spikes our cortisol right away. And so rather than kind of having this smooth, like coming up and then smooth tapering down, we just end up spiking all day long.
Oh.
And so the way that we deal with our stress is just much more irregular, I would say, and like dysfunctional in a way. So I think that's important too. And gratitude, gratitude is so, 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 so important. And it can feel really hard sometimes to be grateful for anything.
Yeah.
But I loved what you said about finding small things. Like sometimes I'm just like, I'm so grateful. I love writing.
Yeah.
And so if I have a good pen, right? Like I'm so grateful that I have a good pen that has great ink that's coming out smoothly.
If you love writing, a great pen is like, that's so therapeutic.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we can all find small things, right? Whether it's like grateful to have a comfortable bed to sleep in, grateful to like hear your child laughing. There's all of these small things. Grateful to see the sunset. Grateful to see like a little snowbird. Yeah. So there's always something, but we have to get into the practice.
Yeah.
I think gratitude is a practice that you develop over time, but I think it's important to note that it's never too late to start.
Yeah. One of the examples I give especially when I talk to students, right, is I'll say, listen, this because a lot of them are athletes or play on a team.
Yeah.
I was like, and let's say you're the worst team.
Yeah.
And you guys are in basketball and the best team, they're like 22-0, they're coming into your house, but you're the worst team. You're 0-22. But imagine if your coach turns to you guys, they're warming up on the other side and coach says, hey, listen guys, Listen, we're the worst team ever. They're probably going to kick our butt.
Yeah.
All right, team on three. 1, 2, 3, right? And that's like everyone. A lot of times the students will laugh. I was like, but imagine,
Yeah.
you know this, when the coach says, hey, listen, hey, John, listen, I know you're not the tallest, but you're easily the most tenacious and hardest working player we have on our team. Hey, you, Joe, I've seen you. No matter who it was, you're never scared of anything. And then you, Sam, in practice, we have seen our team work so hard and it didn't matter. I want you to give me your very best.
Yeah.
That no matter what, even though they're the best team, and even though we've never won a game, no matter what, win or lose, I want you to give me your very best for 4 quarters. Let's go, let's go. Team on 3. 1, 2, 3. And you'll see the faces of the kids, like they all like start to get hyped, because that's the difference between speaking positive into your life or just looking at something negative and just say, oh, I'm defeated. You'll already be defeated in your mind, which will lead to your body language and the way you feel as well. So that's why it is important to speak life and be positive.
It's like finding the value in who you already are and what you already have. Yeah. In your experience, what are some of the biggest challenges or factors that lead to suicide or suicidal ideation?
Yeah, I think, great question. Thank you for that question. One of the things is the self-talk. I think that a lot of times students will repeat this lie that is often mentioned by therapists and counselors, that when they're dealing with clients who have suicidal ideations or have attempted suicide, is this idea that my family won't miss me, that nobody will miss me, that everyone's better off without me. That self-talk is actually a lie. It's not true, but they tell that lie to themselves. And when they sit in front of their therapist, you know, if they've attempted but were not successful, and they will repeat this. This is like a thing that we say to ourselves. So one thing I would say is you've got to think positive. I can't stress that enough. But I think more also, in addition to that, surrounding yourself with positive people, having a plan in place, right? And those are very important things. I talked about exercising. Like you need to do that. You know, it's all this pent up frustration and energy and stress levels, and exercise is one of the best ways to center yourself and to ground yourself as a person before you need to do something, you know. So those are just some things I would say.
I mean, our bodies are designed to move, right? We are humans, but we're also animals. And we are built with bodies that are designed to walk, to run, to jump, to do all these things. And, you know, one thing that I heard also during this conference, which I've also is something that I've carried with me for a long time, is that emotions are energy in motion, right? And when we do not allow that energy to move out of us, that is what turns into depression, anxiety, negative self-talk, negative beliefs that we have about ourselves, right? It's like, imagine that you turn on a faucet. You turn on a faucet and you plug the faucet, and what's coming out is the water, is your emotions, it's your thoughts, it's your beliefs, and you just plug it up. Eventually it's gonna overfill, right? And if you keep letting it go, it's gonna spill out onto the floor, it's gonna drip through the floorboards, it's gonna flood the whole thing until it explodes, basically, right? And so we have to allow ourselves to move that energy, to move the emotions through our bodies. And I am 100% there with you that exercise, even just taking a walk, for 10 minutes, 5 minutes. It's clinically shown that 5 minutes of walking, even just 5 minutes, can improve your cardiovascular health. It can improve your mental health. It can improve your cognitive health. It has so many benefits for our bodies and for our minds as well. And so, I think it's also just really important to note that our physical health is not separate from our mental health.
100%. Yeah, that's so good.
And, you know, I think there's many people who, you know, we talked about the phones, people who are just sitting on the couch, looking at their phones, looking at the TVs, you know, eating a lot of chips and candy, drinking a lot of soda pop, all these things which are harmful to our bodies. You know, they talk about the gut as the second brain. And there are some studies that say that depression is linked to our microbiome, our gut microbiome. So like the things that are happening within our digestive system. You know, they say trust your gut. because that is another emotional brain that exists in your body.
Yeah.
And so when we're harming the inside of our body, then it's going to also harm our mental health.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so what messages do you have for someone who is dealing with suicidal ideation?
Yeah, I think that one of the things, yeah, can I talk to the camera?
Yes, you can talk to the camera for this one.
Yeah, I think that if you're struggling with these suicidal ideations, I just want you to know that don't believe the lies that your family will be okay without you. Don't believe the lie that we'll be okay, we'll be fine, and that we won't miss you. As somebody who's lost, my son Jalen, 23 years old, like my family is still broken, and we're so devastated even today, siblings, and it's just not true. And so I would just encourage you, ask for help. Yeah, ask for help. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And going off of that question, what messages do you have for someone who has lost someone to suicide?
Yeah, I think you're gonna need help as well, and that's difficult. And that when you lose somebody, a lot of times what happens is, and it could be in the same family, it's like it looks like this person is healing faster than this other person. And I would say that everyone grieves differently.
Yeah.
And that everyone is on that journey of healing, and that some people are able to maybe turn it around sooner than others.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you're not healing or grieving correctly.
Yes.
It just means that you've lost somebody dear to you.
Yeah.
And there's so much love there, and now you've lost them, and your body is just an emotional, chemically, physically, mentally, it's a wreck.
Yeah.
And it's just going to take some time to get back to some level of normalcy. My wife and I, we didn't leave the house for like 2 months. And eventually, I would go get stuff, and, I couldn't be away from my wife for more than 10 minutes. And gradually over time, I was able to go for 30 minutes, to go back to do some things, right? And it's just difficult. And so if you've lost somebody, be kind to yourself. I would say, be kind to yourself, be gentle. And it's a long journey, but if you do the work, you see a professional therapist, you get good sleep, drink lots of water, do something active like go for a walk. I'm a testament that, you're always going to have that hole in your heart, but you'll find that you'll still be able to get back up and walk again.
That's beautiful. I think a little bit of kindness, self-kindness and self-compassion can go a long way. And it's, as you said, we all grieve differently. And there's no correct way to grieve. And we just need to honor our own process, honor our own journey, honor our own pace, right? And not feel like, okay, we need to get back up as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Emotions and loss take time, and just give yourself that time to move through what you need to. So thank you. I just have a couple more questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you talk to us a little bit about the upcoming North Slope Borough Mental Health Tour?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I'm super excited about that tour. I've got a team of professional speakers joining me. Last year, I came and I went with the team from here in the North Slope. And we were able to go to school, all the villages and all the schools. And then in the evening, we held a fair, but I would speak and encourage and bring awareness to suicide.
Yeah.
So when they asked me, they said, hey, what would you do differently? Like, we want you to come back. And I said, okay, yeah, of course. What would I do differently? I mean, more is better.
Yeah.
And so I brought some friends, professional speakers who are powerful, inspiring. You've heard some of them, very intellectual at the same time, and are able to, because we're just better together,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We're stronger when there's more of us. So yes, was I able to do a good job by myself? Yes. Well, I wasn't by myself. There was a whole team of them. But then now with the same amount of team, even more people, bringing some other people, we're able to do more for the North Slope Borough and all the youth and the communities in those villages.
Yeah. I'm very excited for that. And
Oh,
for our
yeah.
listeners, I just want to say that we'll be coming to all the villages in September, and we will let you guys know about the dates, but we're really looking forward to that. Yeah.
Me too.
Is there anything else that you'd like to add? Anything else you'd like to share before we close out?
Yeah, I want to tell you to be kind to yourself. Yeah. And that we love you, and that we would absolutely never be the same if something were to happen to you, and that we cannot wait to come into the villages. There's going to be some students that might remember me, and I'm excited to come and reconnect with you guys in your communities. Yeah.
Thank you, Mark, for sharing your story and your insights. If you or someone you know is having thoughts about suicide, please seek help. The Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is available via text and call at 988 24 hours a day. Our North Slope Borough clinicians and counselors are also available to help at 5200 Carlick Street or by phone at 907-852-0366. Remember that you can always reach out to a trusted family member, friend, teacher, coach, coworker as well. Even if they are not able to help you directly, they may be able to direct you to the proper support. This week's wellness practice is a grounding breathing technique taught to us by Allison Uckbick during our recent behavioral health conference. This technique is known as the physiological breath and helps to quickly shift our nervous system from a state of stress to a state of rest and relaxation. The physiological breath includes 2 inhales through the nose, followed by a slow, long, and complete exhale through the mouth. I'll walk you through it once, and then we'll do it together 8 times. As you're breathing, try to notice what's happening in your body. Do you notice any tension or stress? How are your energy levels? Where are your thoughts going? And how do these things change as you continue to breathe and connect to your body? We'll start with 1 breath in through the nose. We'll hold it for a moment and take another sip of air through our nose. Then open our mouths and slowly let it out. For this practice, please relax your gaze or close your eyes if you are able to. Make sure you are in a comfortable position, whether that is seated or laying down. Now let's move through the practice together for 8 breaths. We'll breathe in through the nose. Take another small breath in through the nose. Open our mouths and sigh it out. In through the nose. Once more. Open your mouth and exhale. In through the nose. Once more. Open your mouth and exhale. In through the nose. Once more. Open your mouth and exhale. In, out. In, out. In, out. Once more, in, out. Now allow your breathing to return to normal and just notice what's happening in your body. Keeping your eyes closed, begin to ask yourself, how am I feeling after this exercise? How am I feeling after connecting with my breath? Am I feeling more calm, relaxed, present? Place 1 hand on your chest and 1 hand on your belly and repeat to yourself out loud or in your head, I am here, I am safe. I am here, I am safe. I am here, I am safe. If your eyes are closed, you can open them now. Take a moment to notice how those words land in your body. Notice how you're feeling. Notice how it feels to receive safety in your body in this moment. If there's anything from this episode that you'd like to learn more about, or if you have any physical, mental, or emotional health questions that you'd like to be answered on the show, please reach out to our team by email at nsbhealthpreventionbrw@north-slope.org. That's nsbhealthpreventionbrw@north-slope.org, or by phone at 907-855-8501. Please note that we record our episodes in advance, so the answer to your question will air a couple of weeks later. Starting Monday, September 8th, we will be traveling borough-wide for our Ask for Help mental health tour with special guests Mark Tamaleaa, Derek Moore, Jesus Vera, Edward Bryan, and Elaine DeMello. The tour will include daytime student workshops on suicide prevention, sober living, leadership, and healthy relationships, a brief community coalition meeting followed by suicide prevention training for our coalition members, and an evening community resource carnival open for all ages. Come connect with local organizations, enjoy activities, and discover resources to support strong and healthy families. The tour dates are as follows: September 8th, Utkasuk, September 9th, Wainwright, September 10th, Borough High School and Kita, September 11th, Koktovik, September 12th, Nuiqsut, September 15th, Point Lay, September 16th, Point Hope, September 17th, Hobson Middle School and Apolloc Elementary, September 18th, Anuktuvik Pass. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. We hope you found it insightful and learned something that can help you on your own health and wellness journey. If you'd like to catch the replay of this episode, you can visit the North Slope Borough Health and Social Services YouTube page, where we also have the replay of all previous episodes. Until next time, Koyanakbak.